Hi guys, welcome to today's video. This is going to be a mid-year freakout tag, basically a wrap up of the books I've read 6 months into the year, so like the halfway mark into the year. I got these questions from like an Instagram book tag. I think they're mostly the same as the ones on YouTube, I assume. Yeah, a lot of these questions I wanted to pick the same book. But we'll see. So far this year I've read 55 books. My goal is 75 books. I think I'm gonna pass that, which is kind of crazy because last year I only read 15 books, I think. First, let's talk about some of my statistics, my book statistics so far this year. Sorry if I keep looking down here. I have my iPad here with all my photos. So my moods, the most I've read is lighthearted. Yeah, that's probably true. I don't like sad books. Adventurous, emotional, I guess, funny, yes, dark, a little. Pace, mostly fast paced. That's probably accurate. I'm terrible at reading slow paced books. Page count. I've read mostly books under 300 pages. That's a little embarrassing. 30% is 300 to 500 pages though, so that's not bad. 95% fiction. I think I've only read one non-fiction book this year. I do want to read more, I don't know, I just haven't. Genres. Romance is at the top. I've read 39 romance books. We got some manga, fantasy, contemporary, science fiction, witches or ice planet barbarians. 73% print, 27% digital. Sounds about right. Most read authors. These are a bit of a mix. I usually don't read the same authors quite a lot. I try to read different books all the time and try to branch out so I'm reading more. Obviously that's not the case when it comes to like manga or like series that are like short, like Ice Planet Barbarians. Their books are like 200 pages each, and so Ruby Dixon is near the top. And then my average rating is 4.06, which sounds about right because I rate quite highly typically. Unless like I don't like a book, then I'm like, no, you can leave, you can go to the bottom. But then I don't know, I'm a high rater. I've rated a lot of books 5 stars this year, I won't lie. Let's get into the questions. My favorite books of 2023 so far. Well, the first one, Love Theoretically by Ellie Hazelwood. This book came out last week. It came out the 14th of June, I think. So it is a new one. But this is my favorite book probably of all time, or at least in romance, my favorite book. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I do have a whole vlog coming out where I read this, and I also wrote like a whole review on Instagram and on Goodreads. So I feel like people are probably sick of me talking about this book already, but I absolutely love this book so much. The romance was done so well. There was so many sweet moments. Like I felt like my heart was like beating, like it felt like adrenaline whenever there was romance scenes or anything slightly romantic happened, and I like had butterflies. Like I was like physically reacting to this book in a not normal way. Like I don't think that's normal. Like I feel so attached to this book. It was written so well, and I've said this a few times, but like it feels like the book was made for me, which sounds really silly, I know, but it had everything I was looking for. And I already had high hopes because I love Ellie Hazelwood, but this book was just so good, and her writing like improved so much in this book as well compared to her previous books. Overall, amazing book. I highly recommend you read this. If you've read any of her other books and you weren't a big fan, but you're like, you might want to give her another shot, I think you should give this book a shot because I highly recommend it. It was so good. It is like, it does have a lot of science in it. This has more science than her previous books, but like I'm a girly who hates science just because I don't understand it type of thing. Like I'm not a science smart person, I'm an English smart person, but I still loved it and I learned a lot. It was great. I'll stop talking now, but like yes, I recommend it a lot. This is my favorite book. Next, A Court of Silver Flames. This book I had to kind of choose because this was previously one of my favorite books. I'm in a bit of like a Sarah J Maas hiatus, is that the right word? I've read ACTA and I really love the series, but like going back now, there's so many really questionable things that I'm like, I don't know if I really like it anymore. I still do, but I'm like, I'm having a lot of conflicting I'm having a lot of conflicting thoughts regarding her series. I still like really love this book. I don't know. Okay, I'm not gonna get into it because I'm going crazy in my mind right now about the whole series and her books and everything, just because of problematic things that happen that I didn't notice before, and now I've reflected on. I'm like, anyways, I loved Nesta's character development, and there's a lot of her trauma and stuff in here, and you work on it, and her and Cassian's relationship was so beautiful. It was so sweet. There was a lot of smart, but I'm a smart lover. This book kind of feels like it stands out from the other books. To me, it's just more adult. I don't know. I'm a Nesta, what's the word? Apologist. I don't know. Nesta did nothing wrong. I love that girl. And Cassian, I love him. Next we have I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This is the only non-fiction I read this year. This is a memoir. I highly recommend you read this book if you haven't. I think everyone should read this book. She talks about her toxic relationship with her mum, abusive relationship, the things her mum did to her, what it was like growing up being an actress when she didn't want to be an actress. There's a lot of really important topics discussed, and it was written so well. This is the first memoir I've read, and I definitely want to read more. I could also relate a lot to stuff in here, and I appreciate Jeanette for writing this book. And this is a book that made me want to write my own memoir, which sounds really like conceited, I guess, like especially when I'm not famous. But like that's something I'd like to do if I ever become well known. I'd like to write a memoir because I have a lot of things, and I wanna help other people who are going through the same thing. I highly recommend reading this book. It was amazing. Also, another favorite is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. This is a romance. It's set at a Renaissance fair in like a small town. This romance was so sweet. I love the characters. The humor was so good. The Renaissance fair like setting was so fun. I highly enjoyed it. Also, I really liked the main character, Emily. She was like going through a lot in her life, and she didn't know what she wanted to do. She was always just helping other people, never really looking out for herself. And she moved into like with her older sister at this small town, and she's like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. Like, I don't know what I want to be. I don't know how to move and do something type of thing, which I feel like a lot of people in their 20s feel like that. It is hard to know what you want to do, and you feel stuck. And I was feeling typically very stressed about my life, about what I wanted to do, about working and everything when I was reading this book, and this book like helped me a lot. And also like how she got through it and how like the lessons she learned, it was very helpful. I really enjoyed that aspect of the book, so yeah. Okay, next question. The next question is the best sequel I read this year. I've only read a few sequels this year. Probably the best one has to be The Wicked King by Holly Black. The Cruel Prince series, I read it this year. Highly enjoyed it. This sequel, I really enjoyed. I mean, I can't really say much about it because it is a sequel, and I think not everyone, but everyone, like most people have heard about The Cruel Prince. It is a fantasy. It has a little bit of romance, and it's also young adult, but I really enjoyed the series, and the sequel was very good. Favorite authors. The first one, I think you already know what I'm gonna say. Ali Hazelwood. She's a very like top author of mine. I've read all of her works. Not trying to brag, but like I do like her. Like, I love her writing. Some people say it's repetitive. I don't care. She does it well. Okay, she does enemies to lovers, the stem romance, the grumpy guy type of thing. He's not always grumpy. Sometimes he's like a cinnamon roll type of guy. Like, she does it well, and I appreciate it, and I enjoy it, and so I love her. I love her writing, and her humor, so good. Next favorite author, Mariana Zapata. I have only read one book by her, which was From Luke with Love. It was a long book though, a long romance, so I feel like I can say she's a favorite author, and I really want to read more by her. I just haven't gotten the chance to, but I know I'm gonna love her writing. I love From Luke with Love, so I'm like, I'm gonna love her other books. Anyone I've seen who loves one of her books reads all of them and loves most of them. So I know I'm going to be a part of that because I like consistency, and I feel like she's consistent in her writing and she does the slow burn trope well. And so I'm gonna love it, okay? Trust me. Biggest surprise. I don't know if this was a big surprise or not. Anyways, okay. The first one, Ice Planet Barbarians. This book, it wasn't exceptional, okay? The writing wasn't great, storytelling wasn't great, plot wasn't great. There's a lot of like plot holes, like incy ones. Smart, really good. It is like a human and an alien, so like for what she's using, she does pretty well. You wouldn't think a relationship between a human and a big blue alien would be good, but I highly enjoyed it. So much that I think I've read like 7 books from the series. There's a lot of them. There's like over 20. It was a surprise. I found it on Kindle Unlimited. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna give it a go. Like, I'm gonna have a fun time. And I read it pretty quickly and I continued to keep reading the series and I really enjoyed it. The guys are just like, I want to protect you, you're mine, I'll do whatever you want type of thing. Kind of what you want from a real guy. Like, that's kind of the vibe, if you get what I'm saying. And it's good. Punk 57. I have the book. Where is it? Oh. This was a surprise. I was like determined to not read this book ever. Should I say that about a lot of books? I don't say it anymore because I said that about a lot of books and now I have those said books and I plan to read them, so you know. This book was very hyped on Book Talk, I think like quite a while ago. And then people were like, this book is terrible, do not read it. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna read this book. Like, it sounds stupid. And I'm better than that. Anyways, I'm not. Because like, you know, I'm gonna give this book a go. I'm just gonna go into it like having a fun time. Like, I'm not gonna take it too seriously, but I like really enjoyed the story and the romance. It was fun. And I gave this book a 5 stars. So yeah, I mean, I was surprised, pleasantly surprised. Everyone's heard about this book, but it basically follows Misha and Ren, and they're like pen pals since they were really young, but they don't know what each other look like because they wanted to keep like the thing between them going. They didn't want it to be ruined, if that makes sense. But they'd exchange like letters for years and years and years, and they're like each other's best friend. And then they meet and they like hate each other, they're bullying each other, but then there's also a lot of spice and stuff mixed into that, and then like, you know what, I do actually love you. It is set in like a high school setting, which I wasn't a big fan of because there was a lot of cliches, and I don't like the high school setting. Like, I'm just over it kind of thing. Like, especially when it's like so cliche where there's like the jocks and then the popular kids and everything. In Australia, schools aren't typically like that. Might have been like my schools I went to weren't like that, but that's not really the vibe here type of thing. So I was just like, ugh. Anyways, but I still highly like this book and the romance. It was fun. It was a fun read. Next, Eyes on Me by Sarah Kate. This book, I didn't really have any thoughts going into it. It was on Kindle Unlimited. I went into it thinking it was going to be like heaps of just smart and not much like actual relationship type of thing. Like, I don't know, like people were saying it's very shallow. Also, the like storyline is really like forbidden. They're step siblings and they have like a 8-year age gap. And the guy works at like it's like a sex club, but it's like for exploring your kinks type of thing. This was like the first book I read that was like a lot of spice, but like I really enjoyed this book in the relationship. Like, there were so many sweet moments and parts and like quotes that I like saved, and I really enjoyed it, especially like considering it was a step sibling relationship. I was like, ew. But then she just did it well. Like, I don't know what it was about it, but I didn't mind it at all. Like, in real life, I'm like, no, keep that away from me. You know what I'm saying? She did it well. I didn't even like her writing. I didn't mind it at all. The kink club thing was really interesting. I read 2 other books from the same series and highly enjoyed them. So yeah. Next, a book that was not my favorite. First, I'll have to go with the X's and O's. I have a whole vlog where I read this book. This book was not my thing. The female main character was very, very immature. Like, she was very quirky. I think she was in her 30s, and she was so immature. I just couldn't get over it. Like, tried to pretend she was younger, like 21, but still, I was not vibing with it. Like, even if you're 21 and you're acting like that, I'm like, go away. It was so overdone. She's like a book influencer, and she's constantly bringing up book tropes. Like, she's having like an argument, and she's like, this is our third act breakup. She says something along the lines of that, and I'm like, go away. This is too much. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like the guy. Like, he was just very like basic. There's nothing special about him, and I didn't like certain things he said. Some of them I'm like, ew, red flag, go away. I didn't like it. I think I rated it 3 stars. I'd probably rate it lower than that now. And then, okay, I'm kind of scared to say this book. I'm not scared, but things. I still like enjoyed this book. It just wasn't as amazing as I thought it would be. It just wasn't. It wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. Like, I expected it to be like crazy, but it just, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't vibe with it like I thought I'd vibe with it. I did rate it 3 stars. I still like enjoyed it. I did like the points the author was trying to make. It was like so obvious what she was trying to say, and I'm just I wasn't a fan. Books that made you cry. So I really don't like crying. Especially when I'm like reading and stuff. Like, I don't like crying because I don't want to cry when I'm reading a book. Like, I don't like reading emotional books, even though if they're really good, I just don't want to cry when I'm reading them. That makes sense. But some books did make me tear up. Firstly, Love Theoretically. When I finished this book, I started bawling my eyes out. It might have been related to like me finishing this book, and I was sad because it's over, and because this book is kind of like, it's my dream relationship type of thing, and then I was like, it's really sad about that. So I was like faced with reality, and I got really upset. And also just, I loved their relationship so much. Like, I felt like so many emotions while reading it, and then at the end I just like started crying my eyes out. Yeah. So that's the first one. And then Daisy Jones and the Six. I don't think I actually like cried, but my eyes were watering quite a lot. I feel like this book made me very anxious. Just because of the relationship things that were going on, because they were like toxic. I did really like this book. I rated it 5 stars, but just certain parts made me so anxious, and then I was just tearing up, and the relationship things, and it didn't go how I wanted it to go, even though I think it was good the way it went. If that makes sense. Like, obviously I always want a happy ending. Things don't turn out how you want them to. I wouldn't change how it ended, because I think it was good how it ended, but it still made me sad, you know, because it was a little too realistic for my liking. The Queen of Nothing. This made me cry. There's stuff that happens like, I feel like middle towards the end of the book, that's really like, scary. There's a lot going on, and I cried. And the relationship between Jude and Carter made me cry, because I was like, oh my god, this is so sweet, and I'm so happy. And yeah, I cried. I shed a few tears, and because I finished the series, and I was like, oh my god, like, I love this series. Lastly, A Court of Silver Flames. I think I shed quite a few tears. It was like a very emotional book, and so I did cry. There was like friendships, like found family, there was the relationship stuff, there was Nessa's healing journey, all that stuff. It was quite emotional, and so I did shed a few tears. Okay, books that made you happy. Firstly, obviously, this made me happy, very happy. Or else having physical reactions. I need to stop saying physical reactions because it sounds really weird. I just mean like I felt happy. Okay. And then House Moving Castle. This book was fun. I love the movie, and I wanted to read the book. I was reading it for a video. I don't know if I'll finish that video because I was going to read the whole series, but I haven't gotten to it, so I don't know. Yeah, I really liked it. It made me happy. Like, it was just fun. I think if you like House Moving Castle, you should read the book. It is a little different, but I enjoyed it. Again, it was fun. everything I loved about the movies, I loved in the book. The movies, it's one movie. Then It Happened One Summer. This book I really liked. I loved the relationship. It did make me very happy. Like, I loved the humor. This book gives me like Clueless, Legally Blonde vibes. Like, the girl is very rich, the guy lives in a small town, he's a fisherman, and I love her humor. People like class her as being not smart, but she like obviously proves that's not the case. And I liked the relationship. It made me happy. I was laughing a lot. I was walking around the city while reading. My sister was really annoyed with me. She was like, "You look like an idiot reading while you're walking." And I'm like, if we have to go visit all these stores I don't want to go to, then I'm going to be reading. Like, it was hard for me to put this book down. I really enjoyed it. Okay. Newest fictional crush. Oh, the obvious again, Jack Smith. I love him. Carden Greenbrier. I think that's how you say his last name. Obviously, I'm in love with him. I think everyone is. Cassian, of course. Ivan Lukov from Lukov with Love. Love him. Honorable mention, Dorian from Throne of Glass. I don't know if he's a big fictional crush, but like, I liked him. I've only read the first book and I liked him. Like, he's just I don't know, okay? I liked him. Like, not like Endgame, like I want him to end up with what am I saying? Let's move on. New release you haven't read but want to. One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake. I'm pretty sure this is a new release. I haven't read anything by her. I have The Atlas 6, which I haven't read yet. But like, there's a lot of mixed feelings about that book, and so I'm kind of scared to read it. But One for My Enemy came out. The cover is so beautiful. People really like her writing. She also wrote Alone with You in the Ether, which is a romance. I really want to read that book. People speak very highly about her writing. Like, they say it's like beautiful. So I want to give that book a go. I think it's fantasy. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Check and Mate by Ellie Hazelwood. This is a YA debut romance, and it's like enemies to lovers. They're like chess rivals. And it's very different from her other books, because all of her other books are science, adult romances, and this is chess. I mean, obviously it also has enemies to lovers, but I'm like, oh, okay. It's also young adults. There's no smart, and that's like one of her fortes. So I don't know, but I'm obviously gonna read it because I love Ellie Hazelwood. And then Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I haven't read Icebreaker yet, but this book is like the second in the series, but it's like a standalone. They're like interconnected, but it's not like a series, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have to read both of them. I am planning on reading Icebreaker, but this book comes out in a few months. So I have pre-ordered it. No, I haven't read Icebreaker, but it doesn't matter. Last question, finally. A book you promised to read before the end of this year. So we have a few. Firstly, the Once Upon a Broken Heart series by Stephanie Garber. Everyone loves this series. I hear so many like good reviews. I really want to read the Caraval series first, which is why I haven't read it. And I need to get the Caraval series. No, you don't have to, but I want to. So I haven't read it yet, but I really desperately want to read it this year. I think the third book in the series comes out soon, which I think is the last book in the series, and know what everyone's talking about because people love it. I want to read more Greek mythology. So for one, Circe by Madeline Miller. I read The Song of Achilles and I really enjoyed it. I really want to read more. And I also want to read Atlanta by Jennifer Saint, which is another Greek mythology book. I want to read a lot of Greek mythology, like retellings. They're really interesting. I don't know, I dropped out of ancient history because it wasn't my thing, but like I still really enjoyed learning about Greek mythology, so I want to read more. I really want to read Guild, like the whole series, the Plated Prisoner series. I hear a lot of really... What?
Hey y'all, how's it going?
You want to just sit here while I finish?
Hey guys, what's up?
Shut up.
How are you?
Shut. Do you want to sit there while I just finish my video, or do you want to leave?
sit right here.
You're a little too close for comfort. Stop shaking the camera. Okay, be quiet. Sit there and be quiet. I really want to read. What was I saying? I really want to read the series because people really enjoy it. Don't be stupid. You can leave.
Can continue.
I really want to read it because people really enjoy it. And I think it's retelling of the story of King Midas, which I don't know anything about. But the girl in the book is like made of gold. I thought, like, that's interesting and I want to read it. And it also has a romance. I don't think it's until later books where the romance comes in, but I want to give it a go, if you know what I'm saying. Next, the Dance of Thieves series. I really want to read. Stop laughing and shaking. Why are you shaking?
It's cold.
I really want to read this series because I hear a lot of good reviews. And the romance is apparently really good. It's a fantasy. I want to read Little Women. I feel like I have to read this book before the end of the year because it's Little Women. I really want to try it. It's Little Women. Like, that's all I need to say. Call Me By Your Name. I really want to read this book. I haven't even watched the movie. I want to watch the movie, even though, like, why are you rolling your eyes? Even though I know weird things happen, but I still want to read it. Huh?
It's your profile picture and you haven't even watched it.
It's not my profile picture.
Yes, it is. He is.
No, it's not.
Yes, he is.
My profile
It
picture is
was.
me.
No.
Yeah, for like a day. I want to read the book first. What was I saying? Yeah, I really want to read this. I have high expectations. And I also really want to read something by Stephen King. I haven't read anything by him. I really want to, yes.
I have books.
Will you let me borrow them?
If you don't puppy dog them.
Okay, I'll use a bookmark.
Which one?
I don't really, you only have horror ones.
No, I have,
Your nails are disgusting.
I have, Terry.
That's horror.
I have It as a horror.
You have Misery, which is horror.
Misery.
Anyways.
You have Fairy Tale.
Yeah, I do have Fairy Tale. I really want to read it, but it's really long. And I also really want to read Billy Summers. So that's...
Read, The Body.
That sounds like horror tale.
It's not. I'm reading it in English.
Okay, I'll look that up. Okay. Thank you for watching,
The
guys.
movie is Stand By Me. You know that one?
What?
The movie Stand By Me? We what? You probably didn't.
That's a song.
That song's in the movie. So look at my nails.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like, you can follow my bookstagram.
Bye, y'all.
Or my book talk. I post a lot on my bookstagram, like a lot. There's probably like better quality content on there. Anyways, thank you for watching. Bye.